Assalam-o-Alaikum. Welcome back to our course Introduction to Language Studies. In this video, we're going to discuss or know the differences between Old English and Middle English. When we say Old English, it's mean English before 11th century. And when we say Middle English, it's mean the English between 11th century to 15th century. In this video, we will see what were the differences at inflection level, grammatical level, or gender level. So be attentive and be careful. This is a very important topic. Old English and Middle English period. If we talk about Old English, English used before 11th century. The English used before 11th century was very inflectional. It was highly inflectional. The words had specific endings, nouns, grammatical categories, or verbs had different endings. For example, if we talk about grammatical categories, the grammatical categories, nouns were dominated by four cases that were nominative, accusative, genitive, and dative. Nominative mean nouns used as a subject. Accusative mean the nouns used as object. Genitive mean the noun used for possession. And dative mean the noun used as indirect objects. So these nouns had specific endings. For example, nominative and accusative nouns had specific ending as as. Genitive ending had es. Dative ending was or an. Inflectional like nouns and verbs had specific endings. For example, the word stone, singular, the word stones, plural, had a different or specific endings. The word order used in Old English had a fluctuation in order. If we talk about gender in Old English, every noun had three categories, or it had each noun had masculine, feminine, and neuter categories. For example, sun as a masculine, moon as a feminine, child as a neuter. Gender did not always match natural gender. So different words had a different specific identification, and that could tell whether these were nouns, whether these were verbs, or whether these were numbers or whatsoever. If we talk about English that was used between 15th century or between 11th to 15th century, this was the time of Norman Conquest, and the language was dominated by French and Latin words. The inflectional dominance being used in Old English was either weakened or disappeared. For example, Old English had a name like a, it was singular, and it changed to name. So a was omitted and it was added. It was made more simple. Word order was fixed. Subject, verb, and object. Now that is being used. Earlier, it was like similar, it was freer. People used different structure, but now it was fixed. For example, I saw him. Earlier it was used him saw I. So object was earlier object, verb, and subject. So there was fluctuation in order. Sometime S was used as over here, and sometime it was used over here, sometime verbs used over here, or sometime it was used in the beginning. But later on it was fixed and it was made subject, verb, and object. Gender categories either disappeared or they were used with the neutral gender. For example, he, she, it. He is used for masculine, she for feminine, and it for neuter gender. There was also change in vocabulary. The words were made simple. There was language simplification as well. For example, caning was made as king. Initial spelling of king was this, and house was written like this one. Now we know it as a house. A lot of French words were used in English because this period was dominated by Latin and French. So the words belonging to these languages dominated English as well. For example, the words like court, judge, and government were borrowed from French, and they are being used till now. So if I could recap, we discussed three things. We discussed that Old English or English used before 11th century was highly inflectional. Every noun had three genders: masculine, feminine, or neuter. And the word order was free. There was no fixed order where noun was, where subject was to used, and where object was to used. It kept on changing. In Middle English, there were changes in the flexional, and a flexional became a fewer. The order was fixed, and three natural gender were used. And it was heavily influenced by or dominated by French words. This shift was from complex ending to simple and easier. So we have seen that English was used before 11th century. It was highly inflectional, and language between 11th century to 15th century became less inflectional or made simplified, and the structure was fixed. In next video, we will talk about the language changes that took place in the Renaissance age or the Shakespearean era, how language shifted or it made more simplified. If you are new on the channel, please subscribe the channel. And if you have found this video useful, please like it and share with those who are learning Introduction to Language Studies. See you in next video with a new topic. Take care.